Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today, I'm bringing you my first build for the Sector Fleet format for Armada. And Sector Fleet can go up to 1,200 points. It could be up to 8 players. And so I wanted to do a support fleet for a multiplayer game. So what I've chosen, if you were going to go and think the biggest, baddest possible version. And in that case, we're looking at a 1,200 point game of 8 players, 4 people per side. And what that's going to mean is that if I'm going into that game, I'm going to have a smaller fleet. I'm only going to have 300 points. Granted, there will be 1,200 points total, but I'm only going to have 300 points. And so, with that being said, I'm figured one of the things I might want to do is, Empire might be great, but I figured, what? Since not all the Imperial stuff is here yet, I figured let's do a Rebel version. Well, how might the Rebels combat a Superstar Destroyer heavy 1,200 point Imperial fleet? And I think the Rebels actually can have something to gain from this. So we're going to build a new Rebel fleet, and I'm using Ryan Kingston's fleet builder here. This is a great fleet builder, and I will put a link to it in the description below. What is a support fleet, right? And so I think when you're building teams, there's a couple of things you need to think about. And you need to talk about unique upgrades, right? So not everybody can use a title. You can't share any unique upgrades, so not everybody can field like Luke Skywalker in a squadron. He's got the little dot there. So you need to be very careful about what you're using. I think in these bigger games, you're going to have a lot more people using generic upgrades. But perhaps I think it's a good idea for one person on each fleet to be more of a designated support type character. All right, and so I came up with a list, and now one of the first things I thought of is Peltas, obviously, right? We can go Pelta command ship. We could do 2 of these and do Voltron, something like that. But I decided not to do that, and so what I decided to do is I would swap that out for a Pelta class assault ship. For just free because it's cheaper and I can fit more. We're only going to have a cap of 300 points, so there's certainly less that I can do here. Now, the Empire does have the one Superstar Destroyer variant that has all 4 of our fleet command abilities. We're not going to be able to do that here, so we could run 4 Peltas with all 4 of the fleet commands. Now, these fleet commands are unique, and so you need to coordinate with your team who's running what. Maybe all 4 people bring a single Pelta, and you can have all 4 options available. Because these fleet commands will affect the entire fleet, all of your allies as well. It is only your commander that's going to be restricted to only your ships. So in this case, I'm going to run Intensify Firepower. All right, but I think there's an argument to be made for any of these, especially Shields to Maximum. If you're going to have a whole lot of ships, I think Shields to Maximum is actually going to be very viable. And so we could do either one, but I'll go with Intensify Firepower. Feel free to swap it out. And I think there's something to be said for either one, but I'm going with this one for right now. All right, so I'm going to have a Pelta with Intensify Firepower. This is also going to be my flagship. And for my flagship, one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with Garm Bel Iblis. The reason I'm choosing Garm, and this is going to surprise you, it's not because I like him. Of course, he is going to give me tokens, so he can certainly allow me to use Intensify Firepower a little bit more often than not. So that is actually a reason. But the other reason is that I'm saving the good commanders for everyone else. I'm the support fleet. I'm not actually the one doing the killing. I'm the one helping everyone else do the killing. So I don't need to take the best commander. I don't want to take Akbar. I don't want to take Dodana, right? I want to save those good ones for other people. Even Riken, I don't want to take him. Leia isn't going to help me much. Mon Mothma's defensive. She would be good for that, but I'm going to be taking ships that can't necessarily benefit too well from Mon Mothma. So I'm going to choose Garm. He does do something for me, and he's also kind of cheap, so that's kind of why I'm taking him, and I'm saving the better commander spots for other people on my team. All right, so what else do we want to add? Well, I'm going to go with something that's a little out of the ordinary, and I will go ahead and put a Nebulon B support refit on here, and I'm going to add a title. Now, again, you have to be careful with titles because you can't just go ahead and use any title that you want because, again, titles are unique. So any title I take, nobody else on my team can take. However, the two most popular titles are Salvation and Yvaris, and those are going to be for more offensive-oriented fleets. And since I'm a support fleet, it seems only natural that I would choose Redemption. Now, Redemption is not a title that's used very much, but this is going to help the entire fleet because it's got a pretty wide range. So I do want to generally deploy in the middle of the map with a fleet like this because this is a distance-based support ability. In Redemption, every time anybody does engineering, it's going to give them an additional engineering point. This is, I do want to point out, this is also going to work with Garm Beliblis. When he's given out engineering tokens, there's also going to get one more point for that. So the Nebulon would actually be able to get 3 engineering points from a single token, which is really cool. So that's nice. So we got that. What else do we want to add? Well, some of these are good support ships, but I'm going with the ultimate support ship. It's expensive, though. Well, I guess you could say the Pelt is the ultimate. I'm going to go with the MC-80 Command Cruiser. And the reason, you've probably guessed it by now, the ultimate support title in the game, Home 1. Great, great title. Can't be used for myself. Cannot be used for myself. So this is a very self-sacrificing ship, right? I am giving friendly ships at 1 distance 1 to 5. They can change the die to an accuracy. I've given everybody the ability to do an accuracy. And this is in a 1,200 point game. Home 1 is going to be huge. Absolutely huge. And the problem is, in any fleet that wouldn't really benefit from it, it's hard because the ship that it goes on is so darn expensive. You really sacrifice so much just to get this title in your fleet. I like to look at it as like a 100+ point title because the ship it's on doesn't usually do all that much. And the benefit you get from the title is extremely good. So a lot of times you take the MC-80 just so you can get the Home 1 title and not the other way around. So we're looking at 3 different ships. All of them are providing support. They could add a flotilla also, but I'm going to stop it at 3 ships because I do need to put some squadrons in here. And I'm already approaching 300 points. Remember, this is not a standard game. I'm only able to do 300 points because there's going to be 4 people and we would be running 1,200 points. So for squadrons, I'm going to do support squadrons as well. So first one is Nora Wexley. She is going to, amplify all nearby bombers. That is just great. Now the cool thing with squadrons also is that they can be activated by other folks. So if your neighbor wants to activate your Nora Wexley, all you have to do is give them permission. Say, yeah, you can do that, and then they can go ahead and activate it. But they're going to gain that buff ability of Nora Wexley. Additionally, we'll go with 2 squadrons, only 2 because we don't have that many points. But we'll also throw in an HWK in there as well. An HWK is going to provide intel, and that's going to let Nora and also those other nearby bombers go ahead and activate and attack. And also, to be honest, she can do a little bit of damage on its own. It's not bad. It's not bad. I would be tempted to put a bomber command center in here, but I think if you do have that bomber fleet, they'll probably provide their own because they'll want it to also be activating those bombers, so you don't have to provide that. Plus, there's limits to how much support you really can provide. Now, if you're doing a 3-player 1,200 point game, you'll have an extra 100 points to work with. And in that case, you could probably go ahead and add a bomber command center as well as maybe a couple more squadrons. So we have a little more points to play around with at this point. We don't really have enough points to add a lot more squadrons, so I'm going to add a little more support to a fleet that's already very support heavy. I'm going to add Torin Farr, and normally I could see putting her on the Pelta, because the Pelta doesn't really have a whole lot of blue. I mean, they'd have the 1 in the anti-squadron, but not really able to use Pelta or Torin Farr as much for themselves. And since Torin Farr only affects other ships, that would make sense. But but I'm putting her on the MC80, and I'll tell you why. I figure that when you play this match, you're going to want this MC80 right in the center of all of the other ships, like as close as you can to as many nearby ships as possible, because of the Home 1 title. And that's a perfect spot for Torin Farr to be. I have a feeling if I put her on the Pelta that she's going to be far in the back and away from everybody else and not really able to reach as many people. So this MC80 Home 1 is going to be pretty close to the fighting. While not necessarily being on the front lines, it will be close to the front lines. Additionally, I'm going to add an engineering team to this ship. So when they engineer, they will gain 1 additional engineering point. And this is not really a huge thing to do. There's probably better options, but the idea is I expect this to draw a lot of fire, and I expect this ship to be doing engineering every single turn. They'll be getting some, they'll have a token from Garm, if they need to do it early, but they won't be doing it early. But the thing is, they have an engineering value of 4. They'll have 1 more for redemption and then 1 more for engineering team. This is actually going to allow a token to give them 4 points if they end up not being able to run the command. But this way, if they engineer and the token, they're going to get 8 points. And that's going to be really, really nice for a ship that's going to be taking a lot of fire. And as a matter of fact, if you expected to take that much fire, you could even make an argument for changing Intensify Firepower to the Shields upgrade to really make this thing survive. However, I'm okay with it just like this. This is 300 points. We've got our Pelta. We're buffing offense, and then offense, and then offense. So we got 3 things buffing offense, and we have the redemption buffing defense. And then we have squadron buffs right there. So, I think there's many different forms in which you can make a support fleet, but I think this is a good rebel option if you're teaming up with 3 other rebels for a 1,200 point game. This is a great way to go. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I haven't done objectives for this because, I think the objectives is going to be interesting because there's only going to be 1 player on your team that has to provide objectives, and I don't think it really matters for the support team. I think it's going to boil down to the team as a whole. I think your objectives would depend on what the team at large is running. So I don't think it's fair to be able for me to talk objectives here when we don't know what the other 3 lists would look like. So that is the build. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, guys. Let me know if you're excited for 1,200 point games. And don't forget to enter that lightsaber giveaway by being a subscriber and just leaving a comment. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.